Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the one who serves the strongest of drinks,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Taverns of Tiefenthal. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right, in the Taverns of Tiefenthal, players draft dice to activate various actions and develop their personal deck of cards as profitably as possible. At the end of 8 rounds, the player with the most points wins. There are 5 modules so that players can add extra levels of complexity as they become more familiar with the game. All right, Will, so why did we get this? I honestly don't remember.
Well, we played Quacks of Quedlingberg.
Yes.
And I was like, what else does this designer do? And we looked into it, and it was like one year after another.
Yeah.
They're like, well, they also did Taverns of Tiefenthal. And I think at the time you had also heard good things about that. And you're like, I've heard of this.
Okay.
So we looked into it. And yeah, it looked interesting. So picked it up because of a previous game that they made.
I do not remember any of that, but I trust Will too.
I think we have enough games that you're not going to remember all of them.
No. All right, so let's talk about what we do like. And honestly, that modular complexity just kind of blew us out of the water.
Yeah, this was the easiest way to get into a big game, but in a very relaxed way.
Yeah, because it's slowly over time, you play a relatively simple. I still say this would be, even the base game of this is medium weight.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a light game. But each module that you add builds on the previous one and adds to the complexity, adds to the decision space, adds to the fun of it.
Yeah. And it does it in such a way where it doesn't feel right away like anything's missing.
Right.
So, for example, here's a slice of bread.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you've seen bread, and you're like, wow, this is light and fluffy and tasty. This is interesting. All right, well, watch what happens when I put it in a toaster. It's toasted. Now it has a very different texture, and it tastes a little bit different. This is cool. This is nice. Let me put some jam on that. This is toast with jam. This is sweet and savory. Let me throw some peanut butter on that and put another toast on it. I've got a sandwich.
Yep.
And by the time you're done, yeah, you have something a bit more complex that you didn't know even existed, even though you went step by step.
Yep. It's brilliant. I mean, we've never seen another game that's done modules quite like this, because most of the time it's a plug and play module. It's like, okay, here's 4 modules. You can play with any 2 of them at a time that you want. 3 if you're really crazy, type of thing. No, this is you've got to do one after the other. So if you want to play with the 5th module, you have to play with all the ones before it. But the great part is then if you know you're going to play with somebody who doesn't want that type of complexity, you can be like, okay,
can't handle
it. You start with, we're going to go 3, or maybe they've never played it before. You go back to the basic game. And so it's just really brilliant, and it gives you, like, I wouldn't say 5 different games in one, because they're not different, but they're 5 different experiences.
Yes.
Definitely in one box. And like you said in our other video, it's like you can change the volume dial to whatever it is you want it to be at any point.
I think it's also interesting in the fact that if, like you say, you get to the end and you're not doing so well, maybe you do need to turn the dial back and figure out what point at which you're not getting the game.
Yeah.
And that might help you improve your game playing experience, and then turn it back up to 5 and then have a much better experience.
Right, yeah. And so all these modules feel really well integrated. Nothing feels tacked on, and like Will said, nothing really felt like it was missing. Even when you went to the next one, you're like, oh, this is great. How can they add more? Well, here you go. Have some more. So yeah, that's pretty cool. What you do does seem simple, or at least it's straightforward, but there's just a lot of depth in the choices that you make.
Yeah, because you're essentially going after beer, money, or moving up the monastery track.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things you're going for. But how you get there is nuanced.
Yeah, it's definitely very nuanced. And it's like, well, you need points, but you can get points through the monastery track. You can get points through nobles. You can get points through upgrading your tavern. There's just a lot of different ways to do it. And the other really fascinating thing is that you can change your mind midstream, because you are kind of at the mercy of the dice and the mercy of the cards coming out to some respect, which we'll talk about more about the cards in a moment. But because you'd be like, oh, I'm going to go for beer. Well, if you don't get the dice that you need, You're like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to go more for money and try to buy my way through to points. You can change midstream. You're not locked in like some games.
Yeah.
So speaking of that deck building, this is one of the few games, because the deck building is a minor but important aspect of this game. It's not a straight deck building game. When you purchase a card, it goes on top of your deck, so you're going to use it
very next round.
So the interesting thing is that you resolve your board all at once. Well, not all at once. You do each action in an order, but you do it all in your turn. If you do things in the correct order, then you can stack your deck in the right way.
Yeah, smartly.
Smartly.
Yes.
I can't say I always do that, but I appreciate that it's there. So like, if you know you're going to have a lot of guests coming, if you can get a table, well, you want the table to go on top last. So because you need a table to put the guest out. If you have the guest and there's no table, you stop drawing once you've filled up your tables. So you might want to do that type of thing, first. So it's very interesting stacking. Also, the good length of game. I mean, this is a mid to... If you're playing all 5 modules, I definitely say it's on the heavier side of mid-weight.
Yes.
But it's a good length to it. In fact, there's sometimes we play the game, and yes, it takes us a long time to play games, but we don't feel it.
And that's when you know you got the right length
right.
of game.
Or you get to it, oh my God, we only have 2 rounds left. It's not enough time. I still have more things. I haven't upgraded this. I haven't gotten that. So it always feels like...
These people need beer.
I have more people to serve. They're waiting out the door. You can't close now type of thing. So, yeah, that feels real good. So I think that covers what we like about the game.
Okay.
What we don't... Thankfully, these are minor issues. Well, some of them. The graphic design is poor, and that is going to affect some people. I mean, watch our Rolling with 2 video. Play this in a good, well-lit room. It simulates working in a dark tavern very well, which means you're not going to see things so clearly.
Yeah. I think there was even a moment where it's like, well, that action does this. And you're like, it does? And then you look closer, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's an icon to show that's what it does. Okay.
Some things blend in. There's just, like I said, poor contrast. The iconography is distinct, so it's not like it's cognitively confusing on what the iconography means. It's literally seeing it. You literally may not be able to see it.
Yeah, and it is open information, so also if well-lit rooms don't do it for you, grab a person who has better eyesight than you do.
Yes, and the only other issue is, as much as we love this modular method, because the rule book is set up as this module, then this module, then this, there's no setup instructions that tell you how to set up everything if you're playing everything. I do believe there's something on Board Game Geek, and I just haven't downloaded it yet. So setup time is really lengthy if you're playing with everything, because you just got to go through and make sure you've got everything.
Yeah. Like, okay, I got the countertops. Oh, the schnapps. I gotta go the schnapps out. Oh, make sure that the rep thing.
And because they use puzzle pieces a lot. It's like if you're playing with the 5th, you're like, okay, these tokens on this board need to be flipped over. Well, we need to use the B side of the main board anyways. And then we need to flip the schnapps tokens face down so there's not showing, because you get them other ways. And so there's just a lot of checking of, do you have the correct side up for all these different aspects, because it's different depending on which modules you're playing with.
Otherwise, you're sitting there, it's like, why does this not look right?
Yeah.
And then you look at the other side, like, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's because it's supposed to be on this side.
Yep. So, there you go. Okay, I think that's everything. So, who this is for, I think most gamers in general will like this if they like the theme.
Right.
Because of the modular complexity, it can be good for a very wide range of gamers. Now, still on the mid-weight, so it could be too heavy for some people.
Yeah, but I'd say at the most basic level, even a novice gamer will have a fine time playing this. And this is the type of game that you do want in your collection, so that if you have novice gamers, this is the one that will level them up to be able to handle the heavier games, because it's very kid glove about all of this.
Right.
Handles it very well, very simply, and makes it a less daunting experience to play one of your meatier board games.
Yep, agreed. I think the only person I probably wouldn't recommend would just be family.
Yeah.
Because
You don't want them winching.
I don't think you'd want to necessarily teach this to kids, but I mean, kids probably encounter much worse things, so maybe it's fine. But I just think in general, it's probably not the most family-friendly theme.
Yeah. Drinking beer.
Drinking beer. All right, let's go on to our rating.
So for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. Give a number, reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Taverns of Tiefenthal roll for you?
It rolled a 5. I generally like everything about this. I think it just really loses it for me on the graphic design and the fiddliness. I'm glad we have upgraded components because I think then it would lose even more points. Thankfully, Will was very nice and got me those as gifts. So with the upgraded components, it definitely earns its 5 because I definitely enjoy the gameplay. There will be points where my brain will not be up for it, so that's also why it's not a 6. But otherwise, I think it's production oriented as to why it's a 5 and not a 6.
Okay. For me, I like the game so much, it's a 6.
Even with its flaws.
Even with its flaws. Though, with our upgraded components, it's totally a 7, but the die doesn't go that high. It's an extremely well-crafted game with a great experience. It's unlike most anything else that's out there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's also a unique experience. I just love how smart it all is.
It definitely is.
And once you get enough plays under your belt, how smart you feel playing it.
That's true.
So 11 out of 12. There's only one step from raving even higher about this game.
Yep.
But it is a fantastic game.
Agreed.
All right, that will do it for us. And Sarah,
Yes.
in your special tavern called the
Happy Unicorn.
What is your signature drink?
Well, it's the rainbow, of course.
That does make a lot of sense.
Unicorns and rainbows. I mean, you can't get much better than that.
Yes.
What about yours? You were the...
I was the Moon You.
Yes.
And my signature drink is the Big Cheese. Because everybody knows that the moon is made of cheese.
That makes sense.
And we've been Rolling with Reviews.
And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.